You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Gossip Girl After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Gossip Girl After Show.
Welcome, everybody. Bing is for doing, and we are here doing Gossip Girl Season 6, Episode 10. Clearly, I am not Roxy, although I was told we would have a voice emulator. Anyway, I am Phil Svitek, hosting Gossip Girl for the first time. Some of you may remember me from my earlier work, Season 4, and a few of the past episodes. I am joined alongside tonight by Cathy Kelley.
Hello, everyone. And it is the season finale, the series finale.
Here's the good news. Roxy, Sarah, and Jessica could not make tonight, but we're going to do 3 parts. We're going to do 3 parts. So you're going to get 1 part tonight with Cathy and I.
Yes.
You're going to get another part with Sarah and I tomorrow night. She doesn't know that we're doing this, by the way. And, in fact, Jessica, Sarah, or Roxy don't know that we're doing tonight's episode. And then Sarah, Jessica, and Roxy will do one in January. So it's going to be crazy. We're going to deliver that's going to be our big season finale. So don't worry. This isn't, you're not missing out on Sarah, Roxy, and Gabby. Not Gabby. Whoever.
Jessica.
That's it. There we go. Too many.
We just wanted to give you an after show as soon as possible, since I know that you guys all want this information and you want to hear someone talk about the series finale. I mean, it's kind of a big deal.
That's right. And I'm going to try to involve a lot of you guys, the fans. So call in tonight, 424-256-1729. Hopefully the guys in the booth aren't mean and actually patch callers my way, because I love Gossip Girl. I've seen Gossip Girl, but my depth of knowledge into the seasons isn't vast. I can barely keep an episode of Gossip Girl straight, let alone seasons. So hopefully that's where...
He is a huge fan, though.
I am. But that's why I'm relying on you guys, the callers, to call in. So Martin or Steven, whoever's in the effing booth.
Martin.
Hopefully, don't be mean. Just, we don't have to patch everyone through, but,
Phil, the ladies
we'll
of the Upper East Side would never swear.
And if Susie Eaton is one of the callers, I allow her to be the first caller to come in.
Okay.
All right, let's get right into this. The aftermath of Bart Bass. Your thoughts, because this was crazy. We left off on a huge cliffhanger.
I mean, literally a cliffhanger. I mean, a building here? I don't know. But that was ridiculous. Last episode, I mean, Bart Bass dies. Like, we already thought it happened once, but to happen a second time is ridiculous.
Here was the question posed to us last episode, or in our after show at least. How did you view Chuck and Blair in those moments? Because they're pretty villainous in those moments. Like, how do you deal with them as characters now that they've basically allowed a guy to die?
I think that the way that the producers did it was, it actually worked in that you still felt that, Chuck and Blair were the heroines of this show, even though they essentially let some guy fall off a roof. Their father, or Chuck's father. And I think the way that it was set up, since Bart was so evil, it wasn't as big a deal as if it were a character who you were only, mildly disliked. So.
Here's what worked too is they were shocked in those moments. I don't know if it showed exactly in last episode, but in tonight's episode, as it picked up, they had confusion. They didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so, although indecision is no excuse, at least they had that going for them.
And you also have to realize that literally within the last 24 hours of this storyline, Bart had already tried to kill Chuck, so it was almost poetic, and it was like, you know, justice.
All right, Martin, patch him through, baby. We are gonna take our first caller of the night. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Susie.
Hey, Susie, I'm glad we got you on the line. All right, are you caught up on what we're talking about right now?
Yeah, it's like Chuck and Blair and Bart dying, right?
Yes. How did you feel the aftermath was handled in terms of all the characters and the police coming in and?
Well, Cathy, I agree with you. Like you said, like at first part of me was like, wait, they're gonna get away with like
murder.
Doing that? Yeah, like with murder. But I mean, there was no evidence, I guess. Well, I mean, they said there wasn't, and also, yeah, Bart was a bad guy. So whatever. I mean, he kind of deserved to die. He tried to kill Chuck. So yeah.
Here's what I didn't. What I didn't like was the whole setup of the limo driver, and you know, Blair and Chuck walk out and they pretend to be making out, but then they run away.
Yeah.
It was a little bit too much. And then forgive me, what was the girl's name that was talking to the police and she was asking them questions? And
Georgina.
Yeah,
Georgina.
Do you think that Susie? Is it Susie?
Yes, it is Susie.
Do you think that Blair and Chuck could have had a happy ending with Bart surviving, or it was essential to the storyline for them to kill him off?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, they always just made it seem like Bart was going to ruin their lives no matter what they did. I mean, he threatened to hurt Blair, and he sent Chuck off. Like, I mean, and now I don't know what would have happened if Chuck had helped him off the end of the roof or whatever. If Chuck had helped him, I don't know what would have happened then. Like, none of us do, obviously. But I mean, that's a good question.
Let me ask you this. I mean, for the longest time, the motive of Chuck Bass was, I have to continue my father's legacy. My father's legacy. Like, now, how has Chuck as a character changed? In your eyes.
He doesn't want to. He wouldn't want to, you know, live up to his father's name, because now he hates his father, or you know, he hated his father, and his father never wanted him to be with Blair, which wouldn't have made him happy at all. So, I mean, I think he outgrew his father and you know, became his own man, and which is good.
Cathy, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I definitely
his progression?
agree. I agree with that. I mean, it's weird to see the progressions through all of the seasons where, you know, in the beginning of Gossip Girl, Chuck was, you know, dying to impress his father. Like, that was his only motive. And I mean, he wouldn't have killed to impress his father, but he would have definitely gone through a lot of lengths to, you know, to do so. And now to see the tables have turned and, you know, Bart just became this completely evil character. I mean, over the seasons, there have been so many things that he's manipulated and controlled and tried to ruin. And it's weird to see, you know, how that has changed.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's get to the wedding. No, because
I'm excited about the wedding because I feel like that is something that we've waited for since season 1?
Since Roxy was 13.
Like, literally, I was really happy that they ended with this, and you know, it's a perfect way to end it. I didn't mind the other wedding, but I definitely was hoping for a Chuck and Blair wedding.
How did you think, how it was introduced? I mean, basically, it was their ultimatum, and it wasn't even their idea. I don't know. The circumstances obviously were never going to be good.
The circumstances for tonight were a little bit upsetting. I wanted them to get married on their own accord, not so that Blair couldn't testify against Chuck in the court of law. I thought that kind of made it seem like they were just getting married to save Chuck's ass. But
then she did have her nice moments where she said, you know, he's like, you know, you want to be with the people you love, and she's like, I love you, or, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but so I thought at least that was nice.
What about you, Susie?
Yeah, I was going to say, if it were any other couple, even on like television at all, if it were any other couple, it would have been different. But it was Chuck and Blair, and like there's no question, without a doubt, that they were going to get married anyway. Like, so it wasn't like the biggest deal to me.
I think the producers have actually said early in this season they teased that there would be one marriage. They didn't say that there would be two. So who did you think that it was originally going to be?
I think I knew it was going to be Chuck and Blair. And then I guess pictures came out
leaked
and
of
we saw.
I remember
Dan
one of Dan and Serena, yeah, and I don't even think it was that dress. I thought that there were pictures leaked of them having an outside wedding.
Yeah, me too. Maybe, yeah, I feel like I saw the same thing too, but, I mean, but they did get married.
Yeah.
So that was. But can I say about Chuck and Blair's wedding? I did when Blair was like, I already had my princess wedding.
Mm-hmm.
That I understood that, but I kind of wish like she would have wanted, because her princess wedding was with Louis, who that marriage obviously like failed, and I just wish she could have like, I don't know, I wish she could have had a princess wedding with Chuck, because that's who she really wanted the princess wedding with.
Yeah.
I mean, she never wanted it with Louis. I mean,
she did for a little bit. But
I think it's full circle though, because again, that's, you know, what she thought she wanted the big wedding and all that, it was a failed thing.
She just really wanted Chuck.
Yeah, if you just want Chuck and you want to just be with him, then it's all going to work out because there's no outside motives, if you will.
I think that they did touch on that actually in this episode. They said when they were in the museum, I think it was the Met, they said, we just want a wedding and we want all of the people who mean something to us, who are closest to us, to be there. And that's why it was so small. And I think that speaks more. It's like almost a better wedding than her wedding with Louis. Even though she did have that fairy tale princess wedding, there were how many hundreds of people there? And I mean, it wasn't intimate at all. It didn't really mean as much.
Plus,
yeah, you're right. Just the fact alone that everybody was there, it was like a princess wedding for her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, no, yeah, it was great. I mean, I just wish they showed a little more, and the police didn't have to come like right away.
I was surprised
just so,
that,
like, cliche.
Yeah, I was surprised that Georgina was in attendance at that wedding.
Oh, yeah. I think they're all, like, by the end of it, they were all fine with Georgina, I think. I mean, they seemed,
fine-ish.
Just like they were, just like they were okay with, you know, Dan being Gossip Girl and stuff. Like, they were kind of over it and didn't really care. I think they're fine with Georgina. That's all stuff, like, in the past.
I want to talk about that later, them being okay with Dan being Gossip Girl, because I have a huge problem with that.
All right, well, let's get to it. Before we do, real fast though, thank you guys for listening to these shows, and you know, not me obviously, but Roxy, Sarah, and Jessica. They've done a great job. And again, the cool part is we will have 2 more season finale wrap-ups with those guys. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
Theirs will be much more in depth. We are just kind of brushing the surface to give you guys a preview of what is to come.
That's right. So let's get your guys' reaction on Gossip Girl and the reveal. And my favorite part was Kristen Bell. That was actually.
I mean, that was teased all season that she was going to be a part of it. I don't think that anyone was really surprised who it was at this point. If you've read any, blog, any website,
or listen to an AfterBuzz TV show.
Oh my gosh, you know that it's Kristen Bell by now. And I think that you also knew that she was going to make an appearance. I was surprised at how many other appearances there were, though. And I mean, we saw Rachel Bilson, that was kind of a cute scene with them reading over a fake screenplay. We saw, obviously all the people who were from past seasons come back. We had Jenny, we had Eric. We had a whole slew of people, which was,
I did not know. I saw Vanessa really quick. Vanessa, like for 2 seconds. That was Vanessa right before Juliet.
Yep.
For like 2 seconds, and I didn't know that. I didn't see that anywhere. And I was like, oh my God, it's Vanessa. I mean, she had one line, but it was still. I was like, oh my God, that was funny.
Yeah. It was good to see everyone, and they had people from, you know, going all the way back to first season, and then they had people that were just characters through the, you know, mid seasons, and I mean, obviously they had characters from now, so it was neat to see everyone, as opposed to doing, I know they did the hour wrap up or recap before the actual show, but I was glad that in the series finale they didn't do like a lot of montages of like most shows do.
Here's what upset me. Not to a big degree, but just slightly, was the fact that you know, usually when you have these big reveals of obviously Gossip Girl, I can't compare it to anything else, but you want it to somehow affect the storyline. You know what I mean? In the sense of like, this was just relief. Like, okay, we finally know who Gossip Girl is, and everyone around her was, or him rather, was relieved that excuse me, we know who Gossip Girl is. But Martin, turn that damn chat off. Come on now.
It was anticlimactic.
You know what I mean? You want it to somehow affect the characters of like have this big aha moment rather than, ooh, look how clever the writers might have been and it was Dan all along. You know what I mean? Like there's no revelation.
I was kind of upset with how okay everyone was with it being Dan. And also, Phil and I have talked about this several times. I feel like the writers didn't know all along that it was going to be Dan, because I feel like there would have been more hints. And honestly, there were hints for like pointing to various people. It wasn't just to Dan. This season, maybe it was just to Dan, but I feel like in a series like Lost, you know, they had it planned out since the beginning what the big reveal is or was going to be in the series finale. And I feel like with Gossip Girl, I think they just kind of got lost in side plots and, you know, the romances and the fights and all of that to keep consistent with who Gossip Girl was going to be in the end.
I agree. I don't think they thought it through very well or something. Like, I mean, I can't think of any specifically, but I'm sure there were scenes in seasons 1 through 3 where it was just like, wait, like the one I can think of, like what Serena mentioned was Graduation, the season 2 finale, when all 4 of them, like Chuck, Blair, Serena, Dan, were all trying to like reveal Gossip Girl. Like that's what they were trying to do in the season 2 finale, and they were at the graduation party, and Serena was like, I'm going to text Gossip Girl. And, you know, it
was Dan that showed up.
Yeah. But, so there were just, like, random moments when I'm sure it didn't make sense that Dan was Gossip Girl.
But that was one of those things that I think in this series finale, producers pulled things from past seasons to make it look like it was Dan all along, but they could have pulled things to make it look like it was Eric. They could have pulled things to make it look like it was Vanessa. They could have pulled things to make it look like it was Dorota or Jenny. You know, there were signs
that
from...
was my favorite. My favorite part was... one of my favorite parts in the episode was when they were all going around in the end after they knew it was Dan, and like Serena was like, I thought it was Rufus, and Blair was like, I thought it was Dorota, and Rufus was like, I thought it was Nate, and that was just like really, really comical because I
love
think
the
the
Dorota
viewers
one.
thought too.
The Dorota one where she like spit out her drink was hilarious.
Yeah.
Who did you think it was, Phil? All along. I know this season you said it was Dan, but before that.
Honestly, I didn't know. I really didn't.
Yeah, I thought that they would bring in a new character like Kristen Bell and write her in or something like that, and it would be someone that you had never seen before, just since she was the voice, but I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought we could have gone, if Dan is Gossip Girl, we could have gone a little bit further again. I like the notion of him writing himself into the society, and then ultimately he's kind of now become accepted by this. I like the idea of, you know, Blair's just mad because Dan always was pulling the strings where Blair wasn't. You know, I thought that was funny, and I thought we could have spent a little bit more time on that.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely.
I'm just sad it's over, is what I'm saying.
It is sad. I mean, it's the end of an era. I feel like I spent high school growing up with the kids on the Upper East Side, even though I clearly didn't. But I feel like after this many seasons, they're characters that you feel like are friends, like you've grown to love them.
Has anyone read the books? No.
No. I was wondering who Gossip Girl was in the book. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we need hopefully Sarah, Jessica, and Roxy can do that for part 2. 'Cause that's not going to be this part.
Yeah.
Let's talk 7 years. Well, what we're guessing is 7 years after.
We think it's like 7 to 10 years later.
It said 5 years later.
It said 5
did?
years? That little boy looked way
it
older
said
than 5 years old.
Yeah.
Did anyone
I
else
think,
notice
like,
that?
Blair must
Little
have gotten
Henry?
pregnant like right away.
I thought that
no.
kid was 3 years old.
He looked like he was 6. Honestly,
He looked 3 to me. I have a
no,
skewed vision.
He looked older, and I don't know. But before we get into this, I just want to mention iTunes, because if you're not watching us on YouTube, if you're not watching us live, then you need to subscribe to us on iTunes. We have a ton of shows on there, so if you like shows other than Gossip Girl, you should subscribe to our other ones because they are phenomenal.
Yeah, I guess I tried to do an iTunes plug early, but it just failed. And I just gave way too much love to Roxy and Jessica. But yes, show them some love by going to iTunes, rating, and commenting on this after show.
Yeah, and definitely rate us 5 stars, because the higher...
Not us.
Well, not us,
Not our
but
performance.
The shows in general, because the higher the stars that we get, the more guests that we can bring in. So it's better for you as fans, and it's great for us too. So definitely.
Can I say that I personally 5-star on iTunes
yay.
Revenge and The Bachelor and Bachelorette.
Oh,
Nice.
thank you so much.
Look at that.
Susie gets 5 stars too.
Oh.
I like Drunk Susie. I don't know who Drunk Susie's just more fun.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Don't remind me. But
Anyway, 7 years later, before
Well, apparently it's only 5 years later. I didn't catch that during the show.
I didn't either.
But
they did it really small in the bottom of the screen. It
Okay.
said 5 years later,
Okay.
but yeah.
maybe it was because I had the captions on. But so 5 years later, is this where you expected everyone to be? I mean, Nate's running for senator or mayor?
Mayor.
Nate's running for mayor. Chuck and Blair are so happily married, have a kid named Henry. Then, I mean, the biggest news of all, I guess, is that Serena and Dan are together. They're getting married.
I mean, that's not the biggest. I mean, you know.
I think
We knew
it's
that.
big news. I was honestly only expecting 1 marriage in this entire episode. So to have 2 was a little bit of a shocker to me. That was more of a shocker than Dan being Gossip Girl. I mean, come on.
Yes. What about you, Susie? I'm going to let you guys talk because I'm going to lose my voice.
Obviously, I love Chuck and Blair. I was okay with Dan and Serena. I mean, I was expecting it from when they got back together, like a few episodes ago. I figured they were just going to stay together. What I was with Nate, I was kind of like, okay, like, I don't think it was realistic. I don't think it's realistic that he would be like a big time politician. I mean, he was in jail like just 5 years earlier or whatever.
Things change in 5 years.
He has enough money to wipe that out of the system.
Damn right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but I do think it's cool. I'm just glad they didn't show him with Stage at least. But I wish they had showed him with somebody at least. I mean,
who would you have put him with though? I feel like every girl has come in and out of his life. So I'm glad it wasn't Sage either.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I personally, I'm either I like Serena and Nate together, but I mean, I'm okay with Serena and Dan.
Yeah.
But
I
don't know. I don't know who else he would have been with.
I still feel like the whole Serena and Dan thing was way too fast for me. I mean, they did that over the course of what, like 3 episodes to get them back together.
Yeah.
I still, like, in my mind, I feel like he's still in love with Blair. And I know that that's not the case, but I feel like the change was so sudden. And Serena forgiving him that quickly was really odd. Like saying that Chuck has done worse things, but at the same time, this guy has written so many bad stories about you over the years. He's dumped you. He's humiliated you. I mean, he was almost the biggest villain of them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe it just goes to like maybe since we've seen in all 5 seasons, like one of the main storylines is Serena growing up.
Yeah.
And maybe it just showed her. Maybe her forgiving Dan just showed how grown up she is, and like all that stuff is just in the past. Like, who cares about the drugs and the cheating with the teacher and all of that anymore? It's just all in the past, and she loves him. So maybe it was just the ultimate, like, Serena's growing up.
I know some people were saying that Nate and Serena should hook up again, which I would actually kind of be for, but then others are saying that Serena and Dan were each other's true love and that they were always destined to end up together.
You know what the funny thing about Nate was? The police came to Nate's and they're like, don't worry, don't question her, she's a minor. And the cop just looked at him like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Are you like...
She's 17. I mean, it's gross, but whatever.
But like, I don't know. It was just a funny moment because the cop was like, wait, I mean, are you then, is that statutory rape? Like, what's going on here?
No,
she's a minor.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They weren't doing anything.
Maybe they just thought it was his sister.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it could have been a friend that he's taking care of.
It was just a funny line is all I'm going to say. Don't worry, she's a minor. Just come on.
It was very sudden how they got out of that whole situation of, you know, killing Bart or witnessing the death of Bart.
All right. We don't have news and gossip because I'm going to save that for part 2.
Phil's dying of tuberculosis.
Martin, take us out of here. I'll let Cathy. Cathy, where can we find you? Because I'm going to die soon.
Okay. Well,
not literally, but figuratively from this cough.
First, I just want to thank Susie for phoning in because I feel like she was a huge help. So if you want to continue talking about Gossip Girl or hear about any of the other shows that we do here at AfterBuzz, you can follow me on Twitter at Cathy Kelley.
And there will be a part 2 and a part 3.
TBD.
So look out for that for Gossip Girl. We will, we'll get into the meat and bones of everything. So until then, this is Phil Svitek. You can catch me on the Revenge After Show. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you, Sarah. And happy holidays to all of you. We will be back soon. Until then.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later. XOXO.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.